What's going on, guys? My name is Tony and today I'll tell you everything you need to know before getting Borderlands 3, spoiler free. Borderlands 3 is a first-person shooter action game loot-based developed by Gearbox and published by 2K Games. Released for PC, PS4 and Xbox One. Although it's called Borderlands 3, this is the 5th game in the franchise if you count Tales of the Borderlands. Here you hear the opinion of someone who likes the franchise but who despite playing never got to grips with the nitty-gritty like the way I did now. So I'll try not to compare this one with the others as much as I can. Borderlands 3 begins a few years after the end of Tales of the Borderlands and Borderlands 2, where it was discovered that there were other vaults on several other planets in the galaxy. Vaults, for those unfamiliar with the story, are places where legends tell you they have precious technology and treasure, and are always guarded by a bizarre monster eager to beat you up. Here you start by answering the Crimson Raider's call, by choosing one of 4 new playable Vault Hunters. Amara, the new siren with magical powers and an amazing six-pack. Moz, the most badass soldier you ever see with an awesome mech. Zane, an Irish accented James Bond type of guy who uses gadgets to fight. And Flack, the killer robot turned beast monster who's seeking to understand his very existence. But when you arrive in Pandora, things are not so pretty. You find the Crimson Raiders were almost completely destroyed by the Children of the Vault. The idea is to find the key that hold the map for the other vaults before it falls into the hands of the leaders of this new cult, Tyreen and Troy. But of course, things are not that simple. I, as usual, played the game entirely on the PC, including the main campaign, multiple side quests, and also part of the True Vault Hunter mode as well. And I'm happy to say the game behaved mostly very well. Well, in the most part. In a few moments, especially when opening the item or skill menus, I felt a strange and quick frame rate drop, but sadly, it happened enough times for me to notice. And in one of the missions, the family jewel, I had to restart it several times because some of the enemies were trapped inside the wall instead of spawning in the room, making it impossible for me to complete the mission step, so rendering me stuck. Apart from these occasions, I had no other problems with the game, frame drops or bugs. I know this is not the absolute truth, but I can only say things that I have experienced. For someone who does not have the FPS genre as a favorite, liking the game the way I did is kinda funny, because while I'm recording this, I really wish I was playing instead. And by the way, if the background videos weren't clear enough, my first campaign was with Moz and I just loved playing as her. Here you can run, jump, climb, crouch and slide on the floor. You start the game carrying only 2 weapons, a grenade and a shield. But at the end of your journey, your loadout will consist in 4 weapons, 1 grenade, 1 shield, 1 class modifier, and 1 artifact, letting you customize your playstyle as you see fit. Each character also has 3 talent trees which focus on different types of playstyles, letting you mix and match skills and upgrades the way you want as you level up, and best of all, you don't get stuck with the tree you chose. You can always go to a quick change station and reset all your talents. The gunplay mechanics are so much better than in the past games, making you feel the weight and impact of each weapon you fire, really modernizing the game to today's standards. I was a little scared because Borderlands 2 has a slightly outdated gunplay mechanic, and if they did the same here, I think the game would flop hard. But I can say with no fear, they did what needed to be done. Talking about weapon variety in a game like Borderlands is almost a joke. Even in the trailers, they boast about having over 2 billion different weapons. And it's not a lie. There are many types of weapon models, brands, rarities, and a mix of all these things. We have pistols, shotguns, assault rifles, sniper rifles, SMGs and heavy weapons. all with a unique feeling when used, and depending on the brand you're using or rarity of the item, you have some interesting effects, such as weapons that instead of reloading, you throw them at the enemy to blow them in their faces. One complaint I have, and maybe that may be my bad luck with the game, but in most of the chests the game gave me only pistols and shotguns. They were different from one another, sure, but it's still pistols and shotguns. It was hard to get other weapon types in the game, and I had to hold on to the ones I had got, because I was afraid of finding only pistols and shotguns again. The game's customization is pretty cool. In the beginning, if you bought the normal version of the game like I did, you won't have many options to change the look of your character, but soon you'll find a lot of different looks for your head, skin, and even coloring for your weapons. There are some that are made to be badass and others to be silly, but what I can say is that are many, and surely there will be something you like. At the time of this review, aside from the pre-order bonuses and different versions of the game, there is no kind of microtransactions, making it possible to get everything you can get by just playing the game. But with 2 billion different weapons, you have a little work ahead of you. There are even a few customization items that you can put in your room in the main base. They are few, but I appreciate the touch. And who knows, maybe next time they will expand on the idea. The places you visit in this game are very well made and extremely varied. Some are futuristic cities, full of tall buildings and robot cops on the streets. Another place could be a swamp, with wooden structures and bizarre dinosaurs walking about the place. They made places very diverse and they don't overwhelm their stay. So when you start to getting tired of seeing that green bog, you're already going to the next place. Most side quests are the simple go to X, do something, get back stuff, but there are a few that are pretty elaborated that make you face bosses that you wouldn't otherwise and do some funny shit that made me laugh hard sometimes. I recommend that you do at least a few on each map so you won't encounter the problem with the main story giving you loot that you can't use because your level is too low. We have so many different enemy types now, each type of bandit with its own peculiarity and strategy. Also, it's worth mentioning that we now have female variants of virtually all humans enemy types, which makes the game more varied and less tiring. Other than that, you have the typical wildlife of every location you visit, with elemental variants and the badasses that makes everything more dynamic. They made a really cool effort for you to not get bored while decimating hordes upon hordes of enemies one after the other. The maps are big and you have the option to use a vehicle to traverse them, which is a great idea because when I say they are big, they really are. There's an interesting variety of vehicles in the game, and to get back with the customization talk, you can also change the appearance, weapons and some accessories of the vehicles, which you can unlock by hijacking enemy vehicles or some other special ones hidden in the map. My favorite one's the Cyclone. Quick, easy to use and awesome. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, and the point that a lot of people didn't like about the game. The story. Clearly I will not spoil the game, but I will say that the story is certainly the weakest point in the game. The villains are horrible and poorly written, their motivation is close to non-existent, they have no traits other than I'm annoying and I will annoy you. Handsome Jack was annoying, sure, but he was a villain that you loved to hate. Those two you just wanna kill them to see if they shut up. Besides that, some older characters are super misused and some new characters get much more focus than they earned during the story. But I would be able to forgive it all if it wasn't for my biggest problem with the story. Your Vault Hunter is extremely useless during all the cutscenes. In fact, they play like you don't even exist, and that bothers me deeply. You do everything in the game, and when it matters, your character is not even mentioned. Watching everything happening passively, and that's an absurd dissonance between story and gameplay. In the gameplay, the game does what it should do, makes you feel like a badass, the galaxy butt kicker, and in the cutscenes you're a bag of shit, being overshadowed even by a child. It really bothered me, but not to a point of making me dislike the game, because the gameplay and the fun factor carry Borderlands 3 easily, and the humor also helps a lot, although they missed the mark a few times. Graphically, the game is excellent. I love this cel-shading style that they have adopted since the first game, but here they went far beyond their past works. The level of detail in the characters was incredible, the main base is amazing, not to mention of course the weapons. Being able to see every nook and cranny with unique animations and little things dangling from them is super cool, and obviously how the enemies' heads, limbs and bodies explodes are a marvel to watch. Plus the rain of loot that fall from the bosses is just mesmerizing. The art team did a great job here. The soundtrack is really cool, especially the opening song, which made me hum for hours after the first day of release. But I have to be honest, although I said fuck yes multiple times when some kick-ass music started to play in the heat of battle, none of the songs stayed with me more than that session of play. The songs are good, but I didn't find them memorable. The game sounds are very well made. The guns are quite unique and nothing you can know what kind of thing are being shot at you just by the noise. The main cast performance is very well done, with most of the actors returning to their old roles, with a few exceptions that unfortunately are quite obvious, even if the replacement actor doesn't do a bad job, for example with Riz. The voices of the generic bandits are nothing special, they all sound crazy at some degree, but they left no mark on me, but it was good enough. If you enjoyed Borderlands 2, you are sure to love playing Borderlands 3. It's all that you had, only better and bigger, minus the story, but to be honest, Borderlands was never about the story. It has always been about the satisfying gameplay, the sheer quantity and quality of loot, and their silly sense of humor. Though maybe this time around they went a bit far with the jokes about hurting dicks. I enjoyed the game so much that I intend to finish the main campaign with the 3 remaining characters to decide who I'm going to play in Mayhem mode and True Vault Hunter until completion. It's a shame that the game got in so much controversy before its release, because it's a really good game and I think people should play it. It's a really fun game, so my final Tony score for this game is tasty! Give it a try and then tell me what you think. If the game didn't have the story flaws I mentioned before, it's quite possible that it was a little higher in my mind. But it's still a really fun game. And that's it. This is my review for Borderlands 3. I hope you enjoyed it and it was useful to help you decide whether to play or not. Smash the like button and subscribe for more reviews in the future. And in case I don't see you, good morning, good afternoon and good night.